Hi, we're Mill City String Quartet. A string quartet has four members. Let's take a minute to introduce ourselves. I'm Huldah, and I play the violin. I started playing violin when I was just 5 years old. I love playing in a quartet because we are always learning new music, performing, and teaching kids just like you.
And I'm Erika. I also play the violin. There are two violins in a string quartet, and they play equal but different roles in the music. I started playing when I was 6 because my mom wanted me to learn, and I grew up playing next to my sister. We played many duets and other types of chamber music together, which helped me grow to love chamber music. I love playing in the string quartet because it's exhilarating making music with 3 other people who play so well and love the music as much as I do. When we play together, it feels like one voice, even though there are 4 of us together.
I'm Ruth, and I play the cello. I love playing in Mill City String Quartet because I get to play with my wonderful friends, but also because I get to play all of the lowest notes in the music, which is both fun and a big responsibility. I started playing cello when I was 4 years old.
And I'm Valerie. I play viola in the quartet. I started playing the viola 30 years ago when I was in elementary school in Pennsylvania. And I started playing because I loved the sound of the viola. It sounds like how I feel inside. In the quartet, I'm usually the middle voice, which means I sometimes get to pair up with someone playing the melody, and other times I might get the music moving with exciting rhythms.
Now that you've gotten to know us, let's spend some time together talking about how music can express emotions. Any style of music expresses feelings, and today we're going to focus on the music of one of our favorite composers, Ludwig van Beethoven.
Beethoven lived in Germany from 1770 to 1827 and is considered one of the greatest composers in history. As a young child, he played piano and organ. These instruments later helped him as he started composing. He wrote many kinds of music, sonatas for piano, violin, and cello, concertos, and other solo pieces, symphonies, songs, and string quartets.
Each of us is going to share some music with you today that expresses moods and feelings. Beethoven had certain moods in mind while he was composing these pieces, and we have our own feelings when we play or listen to them. Maybe you'll feel the same ones we did, or maybe you'll feel different ones.
That's right. So pay attention to what your mind and body tell you today while you listen. We'll also invite you to participate in different ways during each part of our lesson. So get ready to imagine, sing, clap, move, and draw while you learn about music and how it shows our feelings through the genius of Ludwig van Beethoven.
Hello again. I'm talking to you today about Beethoven's Spring Violin Sonata. He wrote this in 1801, and he did not entitle it Spring Sonata. It was actually the people who listened to it, everyone was thinking of spring when they heard this beautiful music. So I think that's really special because it shows how music can communicate to us without words. It starts with this gorgeous melody. Just close your eyes and see what it makes you think of. For me, I always think of a bird flying through the sky in the springtime. It's just so beautiful. And then the music goes on to be a little more hesitant, maybe a little more, I don't know, a little less sure. And so I think of that as maybe a baby bird in the nest watching its mama soar by and dreaming and maybe testing out flying for the first time. And so there's this loud part that comes out of nowhere, and I like to think of it as the baby bird jumping from its nest and trying out in its wings for the first time. And maybe it's falling back down. Oh, here it comes. And maybe the mama's nervous. Oh. Is it gonna fall? Oh, he made it. I'm going to play excerpts of this for you. Sadly, I don't have a piano player to play with me. Clearly, I have a piano. But this piece is written for violin and piano, and it's really beautiful how the two connect to each other. And the end of the little excerpts I'm playing for you, it kind of sounds like the sun setting because I get really quiet. And then it ends kind of loud again, which is fun. And I like to think of the baby bird reliving its successes of the day flying. So I encourage you to go find the first movement of the Spring Violin Sonata. Maybe your parents could help you and listen to it, and maybe think of some other stories for that baby bird.
Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm going to play a section of the second movement of Beethoven's Opus 18, number 1. This is one of his first string quartets. As you listen, if the music inspires you, feel free to draw or paint, make up a story, dance or move your body, or show your emotions on your face. Anything that works for you. So what feelings came up for you? What did you notice within yourself while you were listening? To me, this music feels angry. Beethoven uses a lot of different things to convey this anger. He writes forte as the dynamic, which means loud, so a loud volume the whole time. He also asked me to play something called a sforzando, which is kind of like a little kick that I do with my bow hand. Did you hear the sforzando at the top of that? Here in the angry music, it makes me think of if you would punch your pillow if you were mad, or throw a stuffed animal against the wall. Like, it's just that little bit of energy inside ourselves when we get angry. Beethoven also uses a minor key, which lots of composers use when they want to show music as being sad or angry. So our major key, that sounds happy, and we hear that in tons of music. And our minor key has that sad quality to it. So we hear that D minor sad key throughout this whole section. Let's go for something a little bit different now. This is a completely different mood, but from a different one of Beethoven's Opus 18 string quartets, this time from number 4. I'm going to play a little bit of the third movement. And remember, you can move around or draw or do anything that helps you express this music. So what did you think? When I play this piece, I feel like Beethoven is telling a silly joke to all of us. He even writes the Italian word for joke at the beginning of the movement, which is scherzo. Beethoven also asked me to play staccato, which are those really short bow strokes that I was doing. They sounded like this. So I feel like that kind of gives it a joking quality. He also uses the sforzando, which we just heard in our angry excerpt, but he does it in a totally different way. Instead of using it to kind of punch at the pillow or throw a stuffed animal, here he uses it to throw us off balance, like he was playing a trick on someone. So normally, we would hear the strong beat on the downbeat. But here, he puts the sforzando on beat 2, so we kind of fall out of our step a little bit. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for exploring anger and silliness with me. Every time you hear new music, I want you to pay attention to how it makes you feel and how it inspires your unique imagination in whichever way works for you. Thanks!
Hi everyone! I'm going to play some music for you from Beethoven's piece, Variations on a Theme, from Judas Maccabeus. Judas Maccabeus was a piece of music written by a different composer, George Friedrich Handel, and this was a piece of music that Beethoven was really inspired by. So he borrowed the music from this piece and made it into his theme. Here's the theme. Beethoven then wrote a set of variations on that theme. Each variation explores a different type of music and a different type of mood. The first one I'm going to play for you, the mood is very energetic, intense. Some people might think it sounds angry or frustrated. This is a really good piece of music for you to stand up and stomp or march to. So that music was related to the theme. It had a lot of the same notes, but it was such a different mood. I'm going to play another variation for you now that has an even different mood. It's much more gentle and calm, and I think this is a nice piece of music to listen to while you maybe rock a doll or a stuffed animal, or maybe you pet a dog or a cat or a rabbit, or maybe you just cuddle with the person that you're listening to this with. As you can hear, Beethoven loved creating different types of moods with his music. I hope you enjoyed this piece, his variations on a theme from Judas Maccabeus. And if you listen to it online somewhere, you'll get to hear it with the really beautiful piano part that it was written with.
Have you ever felt sad, angry, lonely, confused, frustrated, scared? These are all normal emotions, and everybody feels them. It's totally okay to feel them, but they can be really hard to feel and understand. What do you do that makes you feel better when you're experiencing one of these emotions? When I'm feeling one of these emotions very strongly, I find that sometimes music can help me and comfort me. Beethoven wrote a piece for solo violin and orchestra called Romance in F Major that has a very comforting theme. It begins like this. This piece is in rondo form, which means that the theme that I just played for you repeats over and over again. Whenever it returns, even if it's for just a short time, it's very comforting, like coming home after a really bad day or getting a hug from somebody that you love. You might also think of it as a repeating pattern of colors, designs, or shapes. Look at the pattern of this quilt with me. Do you see how all of these colorful squares like this are just a little bit different, but these flowery squares are the same? No matter what happens that's different in these squares, it always returns to this flowery pattern in the middle. Now I'm going to play another section of this romance for you that has a different sound. It might sound scary or sad or dark, but it will return to that comforting theme again. As you listen, you can make a design of your own. That could be with colors or shapes, or numbers, or letters, or maybe you even want to make a quilt pattern of your own, like the quilt that I showed you. I hope you can experience some of the comfort of this music as you listen to it. After it's done, ask a parent to help you find a recording of this entire piece so that you can count how many times the theme comes back. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for learning about Beethoven with us today. We have one last thing to share with you, which is a string quartet piece called Opus California by Sally Beamish.
Sally Beamish was born in England in 1956 and is an accomplished composer and violist. At age 15, she played her first piece of chamber music, which was Beethoven's String Quartet, Opus 18, number 4.
Years later, Beamish was inspired by Beethoven to write her own quartet. Just like Beethoven borrowed music from Handel's Judas Maccabeus, she borrowed music from Beethoven's quartet, which she had played at age 15.
We hope you enjoy our performance of the last movement of Opus California by Sally Beamish. Later, you can ask a parent to help you find a recording of Beethoven's Opus 18, number 4, to hear the source of her inspiration.
Thank you.